Why you charge your back?
Opportunity to make judgments about what went on in 2017 and 2018. And in some ways, that's the most we can do for our fans. Educate them, let them know what happened, and let them make their judgment.
But you have.
Secondly, a lot has been written on this topic. One thing that I want to be really clear about, every complaint about sign stealing, whether it involved the Houston Astros or another club, was investigated by our office real time. At the time that complaint was made. In some of those cases, you know about them, like the Apple Watch case involving the Yankees and the Red Sox. We found violations and we disciplined them. In others, we did not find evidence of violations. Now, I'm the first to admit that can happen for either of two reasons. Either there was no violation or we were unable to find it. But I think you all know that investigations, particularly investigations that are centered in the clubhouse, are very, very difficult in terms of getting people to come forward. More important, I want to emphasize the fact that throughout this period, and the period I'm talking about is, 2017, 2018, we took preventative measures to deal with the issue of sign stealing. We put monitors in video rooms. We tape recorded dugout phones. We monitored the communications that were taking place via dugout phones, and we instituted regulations about cameras in ballparks for the first time. One thing that we have found in our investigation in Houston, and it's been verified by the not yet complete investigation in Boston, is that those preventative measures were effective. It slowed down and stopped people from doing things that they should not do.
This is Rob Manfred, MLB Commissioner, addressing the Cactus League live in Arizona.
I had a long day on Sunday. I think I did 45 minutes on camera, and then I did a press conference. I have to say I made one mistake, at least, during that long day. And that was in an effort to make a rhetorical point. I referred to the World Series trophy in a disrespectful way. And I want to apologize for that. There's no excuse for it.
Turner!
I made a mistake. I was trying to make a point, but I should have made it in a more effective way. And again, I want to apologize for
bow
it.
down to Justin.
I will say this, I've awarded 5 World Series trophies. There is no greater pleasure in this job than awarding that trophy. I understand what it means. And again, it was a mistake to say what I said. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Let's go.
Pepper. Rob Manfred, Commissioner of MLB, addressing the Cactus League.
Rob, you have mentioned in the past that precedent, you're a big precedent guy. And that was one of the reasons that you decided not to take the World Series trophy away. In this particular case, wasn't this investigation also without precedent, meaning that a new precedent could have been set, and
great question,
vacating the World Series trophy still could have been possible?
Yeah, Pedro, 100% correct that
Good use
I
of the name.
could have set a new precedent here. I felt and continue to feel that the best thing we can do for our fans is to give them the facts, put them in a position to make their own judgment as to what happened in 2017, what the significance of that particular World Series is. I also, and I've said this before, very concerned about opening the door to altering results that took place on the field. There are a lot of things that have happened in the history of the game that arguably could be corrected.
No, they shored up the video room.
I just think it's an impossible task for an institution to undertake.
Susan Slessor, San Francisco Chronicle. Hi, Rob. The A's have said they were one of the teams that filed a complaint about the Astros at one point. Can you say how many teams joined them in filing complaints about the Astros specifically, and was that one of the investigations you referred to before the athletic article came out?
Yeah, hard for me to give you an exact number as I stand here,
Exactly right.
Susan.
Was it more than two?
There were, I recall the A's complaints specifically. Other teams did raise issues about the Astros, but I want to be really
Yes.
clear about this. There were issues raised with respect to other clubs as well.
Trent Rosecrans, The Athletic.
What clubs?
On a different topic of Astros malfeasance, has there been any discipline or will there be any discipline
Players.
for Gene Diaz, Anita Siegel, and Jim Crane for their slander on a BBWA member?
What's ABWW?
Baseball
Slander
Writers of
is
America.
a legal term that I'm
Association.
not
Baseball Writers.
sure that.
What did they say?
False statements
Yeah.
that were against our character.
Yeah, look, the corrective action that was taken with respect to the incident that you referred to was
Oh,
the
that was the
individual
Osuna.
responsible.
Oh, that was?
When they attacked that woman
for
saying she didn't
the-
have the information, she lied about that guy.
Come on, we're talking about the cheating.
Yeah.
You fired that guy.
I have spent some considerable time with the Astros.
Oh, how pissed is the commissioner? He
Talking
hates
to
this.
them about the response that was made to the crisis, the shortcomings associated with that response. And I think that's an appropriate way for the commissioner's office to handle their handling of the crisis. There wasn't, in fact, a very strong response to the underlying incident.
Back to cheating.
Hey, Rob, because it's become a point of discussion, particularly in clubhouses
Yeah.
lately, can you walk
Other
us
players are
through
pissed, Rob.
again the process of getting to the player immunity agreement?
Yes. So this phase, this investigation begins with the article that Ken and Evan wrote.
Is that John Boy?
Immediately
Rosenthal.
after the article, we launched
thought it
an
was John Boy.
investigation.
John Boy Noel.
I thought John Boy
Our
started.
early efforts were not
Article. You did it in
particularly
writing. Oh,
come
successful.
on, Manfred. It was
in
John
terms
Boy.
of making progress with the investigation. My office then contacted.
You are
the
listening to Commissioner
MLBPA
Rob
to
Manfred addressing the
request,
media at the Cactus
player
League in
cooperation.
Arizona
We
regarding the
wanted
Houston
players to
Astros,
submit
trying to do
to
some
interviews.
damage control. Seems like a
The
lot of
MLBPA
rhetoric. Turn it
asked
up.
if we had a disciplinary intention. I think the response was that we could not rule that out. The union indicated to us that that would be a problem.
Yeah, blame it on the union.
We went back and suggested to them we would give them an initial list of people, players, that we would grant immunity to, preserving our ability to discipline other players. And the union came back and said that players would cooperate only if there was blanket immunity.
Union.
And because we were at a bit of a stalemate, we knew we needed player witnesses. We agreed to that immunity
collective
agreement.
bargaining's up in a year and a
let me
half.
be clear.
I had to do it.
We would not have gotten where we got in terms of understanding the facts, learning the facts, disclosing the facts, if we hadn't reached that agreement. So I'm not being critical of anyone, but the fact of the matter is the union wanted an immunity agreement to protect their members, and you know, that's how we got there.
Who's going to answer
Rob,
next?
Bruce Levine, the WSCR Radio in Chicago. First of all, I want to, as a baseball
Score,
fan, I want to
Chicago.
thank you for your apology.
I thought that's a wiener.
I'm sure it wasn't
W-
easy to do, so thank you for that.
W-E-E-I and
I don't
You
like
know,
this.
they're never easy,
Chicago,
and I hope
Chicago
I did
guy. Manfred,
okay
Chicago guy,
on
the
the
score,
apology
Chicago.
front. I
Shut
mean
up,
it.
Levine.
I feel
Ask
badly
me a
about
question.
it, and
the Hammond Times.
you know,
Right. Ask
I
a
wanted
question,
to be
Levine.
really clear on that.
How hard
topic.
has this been on you,
As far
Rob?
as technology in the
Thanks for
dugouts,
your
will
apology,
Major
Rap.
League Baseball put in rules this year to eliminate all technology in and around dugouts?
Because that's what happened, Rob, your ever-glowing replay system.
I'm going to hesitate for just 1 second, Bruce, and I'll tell you why. We are having some conversations with the MLBPA about that. My own view is that we need to drastically restrict in-game access by playing personnel to video. It just
You think,
has
Rob?
caused a lot of problems, and I
standing
think
here.
a really across-the-board restriction on that video will help send the kind of message to our fans that's really important for this institution right now, that we're serious about cleaning this up.
Rob, Evan Grant, Dallas Morning News. If
Yeah, man,
anything,
here it
since the
comes.
discipline has been handed out and since people have started talking, it seems like
Book
the
depository,
vitriol
man.
from players inside the game and outside names has only ramped up. Has any of this caught you by surprise? And what is your thought on the way forward with your players on this?
Well, it surprised me for two reasons, Evan. First, I've been around a long time, and I've never seen the kind of commentary from players about other players in the entire time that I've been involved. And the second reason it surprised me a little bit gets back to the question that Tim raised. I mean, one of the principal complaints seems to be that the Houston players were not disciplined, and that lack of discipline, the immunity, was negotiated with the union that represents players.
Rob Manfred, MLB
just to
Commissioner,
follow up on
addressing
what
the
Evan just
media
asked.
at the Cactus League in Arizona live here on your home of the Dodgers, AM 570 LA
This has
Sports.
done to the integrity of your sport, and what measures does the sport have to take to reassure fans? Just to give you an example, I mean, if a pitcher gives up 8 runs to the Astros this year and says afterwards, it felt like they knew what pitches were coming, I'd like MLB to investigate so I know. Do you have to react and investigate that sort of thing just to reassure fans of the integrity of your sport?
Look, I think that trust is something that has to be earned or earned back. I think that we have tried to send our fans the message that no matter who's involved, if there is an allegation that involves a violation of the rules, we'll investigate it. We'll investigate it with tremendous vigor and effort. We did that in Houston. We're doing it again in Boston. And then third, I think that back to the question that Bruce asked me, I think that we need to show our fans that not only have we taken steps to prevent this type of activity, but we continue to take steps to ensure fans that it's not going on a go-forward basis. And, I have to say, that's a joint obligation, right? I mean, it's something we have to do, and it's something that the players have to help us do.
Carson Field, Cronkite News. Compared to the other scandals in baseball
Never heard of the KM.
why do you think the outcry
That
for
is
this
new,
one
or
is
CN.
arguably
That
the
is new.
largest?
I've never heard of CN.
Maybe
Cronkite
CKN.
News.
Put the K in it.
I think that
That I've never heard of that.
part of it is
Why it was such a
the
terrible
way
question.
society has evolved.
We are Walter
it's a very
Cronkite
different
News.
world than 1919. But I think more fundamentally, this
All right, fade it one out. Fade it one out. We can get out now.
relates to the play of the game.
Thank you, Rob Manfred. I've never heard somebody seem more scared or more guarded in a press conference in a long time. Sounds a lot like the commissioner is protecting the truth, but he has to say something and do something. And the one thing that did come out of that in regards to the Dodgers, as we are your Dodger station, was the apology about the piece of metal comment with the World Series trophy.
Justin Turner. Well, and the union. Hey, man, you want me to suspend and punish players? I can't. Players union came after me. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, that's part of the propaganda because, I mean, look, he has to protect the owners, and Jim Crane is still one of them. He's not like Frank McCourt, who was rejected roundly, or Donald Sterling, who was rejected roundly, or the guy in Carolina who was making the chicks do a circle when they were in their jeans.
Jerry Richardson.
Old Jerry.
The old big cat.
Yeah. Hey, let me see him, Jerry.
The old big cat.
Like those people were all rejected for specific reasons. Crane is still in the club.
Yeah, Crane gave Kike his plane to go to Puerto Rico.
He's like Kraft,
He's in the club.
They still like that guy, and that's why commissioners always seem so feckless, like poor Adam Silver with the China thing, all these different things, because they have to protect the owners because the owners are the billionaires that make the thing work, and that's who the commissioner works for. He does not work for the players. So blaming the players union, blaming the players association, blaming those things, saying, hey, we got the immunity happened. It's not just us. That's par for the course because he can't take all this on himself right now. This guy's taking a lot of incoming, and he's just standing up kind of like a dummy in front of Jim Crane and the Astros, who are still going to be protected by the other owners. We haven't heard, Mark Walter, the owner of the Dodgers, who got screwed in 2017, comment. We haven't heard the owner of the A's.
No Artie Moreno, no Steinbrenner, no Mark Walter. None of them are weighing in because they're not going to.
No.
It's a player, but that's what makes it interesting is that you've also never seen players go after other players like this and demand some sort of justice.
Totally different than
the
these
guys that haven't gone unpunished. Right. Juiced was
bats,
different.
Totally different.
Totally different because there was some self-punishment there in the way of health and your well-being. If you're going to juice up, you're going to wear it down the road medically.
Nobody cares about the managers or Hinch being suspended.
Not at all.
People are pissed about the players because from what we can gather above the board and below the board from people about what happened here is this was done by the players. This was done by the players in spite of management. This was something done by the players, and that offends the players.
They had a choice in the steroids, by the way. That's kind of what they said. They said, look, I had that choice, and I chose not to do it.
And you still don't know what's coming.
I got that. Exactly. For this, you got no choice. You're going out there as a reliever that's trying to stick on with a club like Chris Medlin, and his cause that has been made famous by Freddie Freeman, not Bolsinger, but Chris Medlin, who was coming back from an injury and then just decided, well, clearly I don't have it anymore. I've got to retire.
Brother against brother element here and a betrayal. And Oral Hershiser explained it really well on our show, I thought, and in a few conversations, just that this is really rotten, what's happened. And that's why you have the anger and the vitriol from the players and the fire in their eyes when you bring this up. And look, players have a brotherhood. What they're usually against in every sport is ownership. Even if they're multi-billionaires or multi-millionaires versus multi-billionaires now, that's always kind of been the rift. And this kind of comes down to that. The players are angry that the other players that screwed them over for years now with the Astros and did it blatantly are not going to be punished. And they were given this weird BS, non-legally binding baseball immunity that Manfred really seems to have a hard time explaining.
And the problem
He's
is,
still up there like Kenta Maeda.
If you're a powerful commissioner, you don't take that deal and say to the union, okay, you don't want to give us immunity? Fine. I'll let the guys know. You want to cooperate? This is what your suspension is going to be. If you don't, this is what it's going to be. Because I've got people that are now on the Twins and on the A's that were in this clubhouse that have already given me their side. And I'm going to be able to put it all together. So here it comes.
Not to be like Cowherd here, but, I mean, that really is the job. And I'm not making excuses for Manfred because he sounds so guarded and frightened.
Roger Goodell makes $40 million a year. These guys make tens of millions of dollars.
He makes like $30 million.
They're paid to
Manfred.
keep the players in a certain place and to keep the owners in a certain place.
Owners.
And to stand between the two. And in real life, in real life, it's protect the owners.
That's what it is.
In real life, it's protect the owners and make sure their money doesn't get moved. And that's why they get paid tens of millions of dollars a year to do it. But as a forward face to us, what he's got to act like is, I got the PA in control, I got the union in control, I got baseball in control, I got the Astros in control. I've got this all under control like Red Panda, and clearly the plates are breaking all over the court.
The one interesting thing is the two teams that feel the most wronged. And you think about the stick that Jerry Jones swings in the NFL and the influence he has. This is the Yankees and the Dodgers, your two most viable franchises in all of baseball. They're the biggest money makers.
Probably why he's up there today.
And that's why he's doing this.
Because it's not Milwaukee and the A's.
Exactly right. That's why this is what it is.
And the players are pissed.
Yeah.
You got Marquez saying they need a beating.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Clayton Kershaw, you've got Mike Trout, you've got Aaron Judge, and all of the biggest stars in your league combined with the two, Hal Steinbrenner, Mark Walter, and the two most important franchises in your game that suffered the most. You missed out on a Dodgers A defending champion against the Yankees World Series because of what these guys did. And it's like you said, that's why he's in Arizona and he's not in New York trying to hammer out next year's CBA. He's instead trying to do damage control. And I thought a handful of the questions were good.
Yeah,
what do you mean precedent? Of course there's no precedent because it's never happened before.
And part of damage control is just the optic, right? Of this guy standing there behind a microphone taking questions.
He's taking body shots.
I mean, if you turn it up right now, it's going to sound like gobbledygook. Here, turn it up, Ronnie. Here it is, MLB
still
Network.
Going.
Yeah, it's still going.
Rob, over the last week, there have been a lot of players.
It's just talking, which is what we all do. But it just gives the illusion, or at least the feeling that, okay, at least At least he's answering questions. At least he's doing something.
Well,
at least
it's pernicious rhetoric.
some kind of action is being taken.
Pernicious rhetoric. It's beyond feckless, what you called him. I call him unctuous.
BF? Beyond feckless?
Beyond feckless.
PT? Pernicious talk?
Absolutely. I don't trust this guy. I mean, he's just kowtowing to the owners.
Well,
he's
that's his job. Turn it up. He's talking.
I understand. With $30 million, he gets paid a year to do kowtow to the owners.
I have no reason to believe that happened here, but that's true of every investigation. There's limits to what human beings do.
Yes, limits.
With respect to what we knew,
It was 2017.
everything
Who
that
can
we knew
remember
about,
2 full
we had
seasons
made
in
public.
past?
We had been 100% transparent on this issue.
I don't know, Rob. I just don't know.
I don't buy it.
Just to push back a bit on that, Rob. The Wall Street Journal's reporting did reveal some information that, obviously it was in a private email, it appears, but it did reveal some information that was not included in the report. And you had said that, transparency was the goal, and players are sort of overwhelmingly saying that goal was not met.
Yeah, my understanding, I won't quibble with the question. My understanding of the issue with respect to transparency is the reference to Codebreaker. We discussed the Codebreaker system in the report. I think they're concerned about a lack of transparency is they don't quite understand how those two systems work together, which I think the report made clear. The Codebreaker system in and of itself could have been perfectly legal. Okay? In other words, it started as a non-in-game effort to decode signs. Lots and lots of teams do that. It does not violate our rules. Okay? What the report made absolutely clear was that
extend words.
at the same time,
you better go to break to get the bill.
Codebreaker.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Colin Yee. Tim
Pernicious
Case.
talk.